Okay, we are now live. Yes, sometimes it's hard to tell. One of the topics that came up very recently with a client of mine was, Claude, how do you know when to make the move? And we call this taking the prospect's sales temperature. I call it the guts barometer. It's a 1 through 10 scale. This will be a really fast video, guys. I just wanted to, when you're speaking to somebody, say a prospect comes to you, oh, I saw your video. I'm really interested in your program, your product. I want to do this deal with you. They're an 8, 9, or 10. They're also a very dangerous prospect, by the way, because an 8, 9, or 10 on a 1 through 10 scale, what's the only other direction they can go? Down. Okay. So when you get an 8, 9, or 10, you want to go rapidly using the gut system into the close. You want to go you want to go as fast as possible into set a quick agenda, do a qualification, ask a few questions, keep them in that 8, 9, or 10 for just a little period of time. Is my little famous 3 minute sales thermometer or sales hourglass. It can't be an hourglass if it's 3 minutes. Regardless, you want to take their temperature real fast. You want to go right to the close real fast. 3 steps in guts, agenda, qualification, close. 8, 9, or 10, go for the close. Get those yes commitments from them. Remember, in the gut system, we sell emotionally. So you want to keep them in that emotional zone as long as possible. Why are you interested? What prompted this phone call? Why do you think you need this? Get them talking more than you. That's the 75-25 rule. I talk about that a lot. And just go for the close. They're calling you, they're high. If there's somebody you have to develop, maybe they're a 5, 6, or 7. That means you have to ask more questions with stroking and nurturing and keep them emotionally involved. Remember the golden rule, the diamond rule. I got to say it that way, right? The diamond rule in sales is that people make very quick business decisions when you create an emotional conversation. But your competition won't do that. Listen to your Uncle Claude. They're going to give that boring, long, intellectual conversation. You guys know those boring speakers, those boring salesmen, okay? You just want to know how much it costs and does it come in green, and they want to tell you the history of dirt. So when you get somebody in that middle ground, that 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, or whatever, you have to get them involved by asking questions, maybe telling stories, maybe doing a little bit of what we call bonding moments. Bonding moments are very emotional. Yeah, I know how you feel. So I had the same problem. I just spoke with someone the other day, same issue, same problem. And you develop it by asking those questions. And if you watch some of my other videos here on YouTube and other places, or just read my book on the gut sales method, if you want to text me, my number is 619-206-5960. Just send me a text and I'll send you the book for free on the gut sales method. It's real simple. And it's just learning how to ask a few questions, get into that really comfortable, that comfortable place we all like to be with a stranger. Okay. The conversation's flowing. It's not strained. It's not uncomfortable is the only word I can come up with. And that's where you want to be. And so, using the same system, we learn how to ask those questions with that stroking, nurturing, and empathy. Now, if you get somebody, they're a 1, 2, or 3, they're on the low end of the scale, they have no interest. Maybe you've qualified them, they have no money, they're not the decision maker. It's not something they want to do now, but 6 months, 6 years from now. That's someone, once again, you're not going to spend a lot of time with that person. Why? Because it's unproductive. And the beautiful thing about the gut sales method is the salesperson comes first. That's in my book on rules here. It's another book I wrote on sales, on the gut system. I wanted to make sales simple. I wanted to make it fun. Sales to so many of us, myself included, is so darn uncomfortable. Mom said, don't talk to strangers. And what do we do to make an honest buck all day long? We got to talk to a lot of strangers. In order to be that outgoing person, that optimistic person, you got to practice. And you have to understand the logic, the science to it. It's an art form also, but it's also, there's a lot of logic and science to it. How do you engage somebody? If you just ask a lot of questions and you sound like you're cross-examining them, they're going to be, it won't work. So you have to engage them in such a way with what we call a stroke or a nurture. Good question. Glad you brought that up. That's very interesting. You've done your homework. Keep them interested, keep them on there. If you can't get the one, two, or three person up to at least a four or five, you're wasting your time. And that's when in 3 minutes or so, use your best judgment, you fire the prospect. Now, that's the beauty of the gut sales method. Instead of getting, I'll think about it, call me later, send me information, and then they ghost you. You get to this, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, doesn't sound like we're going to do business today, but I really enjoyed this conversation. Let me send you a little gift, and you send them something, a book, a mind map, your notes, an outline, anything, a bottle of wine. Well, why not? Send them something so that they remember you. And then you give yourself a follow-up. You set it in your calendar. You save your notes. Take scrupulous notes. I don't care what kind of system you use. You could use index cards like these. You could have a book. You could use a CRM or whatever you need. And make sure you save your notes on this person. You give them a score. Now, if they're a 1, 2, or 3, you're probably not going to call them back for at least, I would say, 90 days. Okay, there's just nothing there. They don't have the need, the money, the drive, the authority, the time frame is long. They're just not interested in your product at this stage. That could change, however, because if now you have their contact information, maybe you can send them some follow-up. I give them about 90 days. If they're a 4, 5, or 6, maybe this is someone you should contact in, I'd say 30 days, 60 at the most. Follow up with them. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. I don't know if you remember me. We spoke last month, and this was your need, your problem. Did you get the information I sent you, the contracts or whatever? Is there anything I can do to help you? The property must be gone by now, right? Engage them in conversations, bring them back in. And remember, you're following up. So you have a tacit approval. That means basically a subconscious approval to get back to them because you had that previous conversation and you have enough information to make yourself sound familiar. Finally, if they're an 8, 9, or 10 under the gut system, you make them an offer in that phone call right then and there. You get one shot. You got them on the phone. You got them on Zoom or FaceTime, something, and make them an offer and set a time frame to that offer. We'll talk about that in another video. Okay. If they are an 8, 9, or 10, and you've made them an offer and they're still not ready to commit, and if it's in the morning, make sure you set up a follow-up meeting in the late afternoon or that evening. Don't let the grass grow, because the minute you get off that phone, the stimulation, the emotion, the needs disappear rapidly, okay? At the worst, make sure you set another heart appointment for the next day within 24 hours. Don't lose your 8, 9, or 10s. You got one shot there, and sometimes you just got to go for it. That's the whole thing about the gut sales method. I work with people who are other coaches, who are in real estate or in a lot of different businesses, and I show them how to make themselves unique in the eye of in the mind of the prospect. When people get off the phone, what do you want them to say about you? Or do you want them to forget you before they even hung up the phone? That's the key to the gut sales method. I have some mind maps and books. If you want to send me a text, my phone number is right there on the bottom, 619-206-5960. I'll send you some freebies. Hey, or go to my webpage, claudediamond.com. A lot of good stuff there too. Listen, as I always say, nobody deserves success more than you good people. It's really, the success of business is about being a persuader, a 1%er. There's a few people in the world who understand this, and they can make money every day. They can make more money sometimes in a day, in a week, than a lot of people make in a year. Why? Because they understand the art and science of conversation, okay? They just know how to connect with people. And when they get off the phone, they say positive things about them. You guys are great. Thanks a lot. Take those temperatures out there, okay? But use the right thermometer. You know what I mean. Bye-bye.